This may be an unpopular opinion, but Amber does not deserve the amount of hate that she got, and I'm gonna tell you why. Hi guys, welcome back to Ella Pastoral. If this is your first time ever coming up on this channel right here, typically I make videos relating to all of my favorite pieces of media, and in today's video we are gonna be talking about Invincible, but in particular we're gonna be talking about Amber Bennett. This video is coming from someone who literally just finished season 1. I know guys, it took me like a year and a half to watch Invincible season 1. I haven't watched Invincible season 2, but I practically want to talk about Amber Bennett, and this video is just coming from the fact that I only watched season 1 and I haven't read the comics, okay? So practically, if you guys don't know who Amber Bennett is, I'm just gonna give you guys a quick little synopsis. Also, spoilers for Invincible season 1. So Amber Bennett is a side character in the show called Invincible. Invincible is practically like a generic superhero show where the teenage boy character Mark has to hide the fact that he is the son of a superhero, Omni-Man, and that he is a superhero himself, Invincible, or yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his superhero name. So Amber Bennett is Mark's girlfriend, okay? So we need to understand that before I really break down the situation. Before I got into Invincible, I would literally be on Twitter, TikTok, Tumblr, and I would just see think piece about why Amber is such an awful girlfriend to Mark. And before I watched this show, I was expecting Amber to be a piece of trash to Mark and literally treat him like a dog. But as I was watching Invincible season 1, I was like, why is there so much hate and vitriol towards Amber? Amber is not a bad girlfriend to Mark, and if we're going to be serious, the real person who's the toxic one in this relationship, it has to be Mark, and let me explain. So practically the beginning of the season starts off with Mark not having his powers, but he sees that there's this weird jock guy who is intimidating Amber. Amber's paying him no mind, but Mark, he wants to be Amber's knight in shining armor, and he gets himself beat up in order to defend Amber. And Amber's like, even though you got your face beat in, I've never had a guy do that for me, and it's low-key romantic. So they low-key start a flirtationship that eventually evolves into them having a full-blown relationship. And I feel like once they start actually having a full-on committed relationship, this is where everything starts to go left. Mark gets his powers in like episode 2 or pretty early in the season, and then he starts training and going on missions with his dad, Omni-Man. And once Mark starts doing that, this is when he starts to be an awful good for nothing boyfriend, in my personal opinion. So due to the fact that he wants to keep his secret identity and his dad's secret identity a secret, he has some of the worst communication skills and techniques I've seen in a cartoon in a long time. And that's saying something, right? Because for Mark, he literally will make all of these plans with Amber, and Amber will be like so excited to do these plans with Mark, but instead of, you know, having good communication skills with Amber, homeboy will literally just leave sis on red and just ignore her for like hours or days at a time. This video was able to be made thanks to all of the support from my lovely Patreons. Thank you guys so much for supporting me in the year of 2024 as I make more video essays. Now let's get back to the regularly scheduled content. And this happens repeatedly in the series. It's actually high-key a mess. So one of the main examples I can think of that still ruminates in my mind is moments where Amber's like, hey, we've been dating for a while, I really want you to go meet my mom. And Mark is like, I don't know if I'll be able to make it, because you know my dad, he wants me to work in the family business. And Amber's like, yo, this is one of the few moments that you can't F up, because this is going to affect my mom's perception of you. And I think she only has a mom, I believe. Yeah, I think her mom is a single mom. So Amber's like, my mom's perception of you is extremely important, you can't miss this. And so Mark is like, okay, I'll try my best to, you know, come. But he gets caught up in this mission and he isn't able to message Amber until like 8 o'clock, like almost like 5 hours or something after Mark was supposed to meet up with the mom. And Amber's just like, yo, bro, you really let me down. Like, you really let me down. And I think Mark is able to flirt his way out of that. But stuff like that stays happening in the show. And I really feel like there was a certain point where Mark should have told Amber that he was a superhero, because it was getting outrageous, because literally there started to be too many people who started to know Mark's secret. Atomic Eve knew, but the reason why Atomic Eve knew that Mark was a superhero was because they were in like a fake Justice League, and literally Atomic Eve had better communication with Amber about what Mark was doing than Mark. There was just so many situations where I'm like, why is Atomic Eve literally being a better partner to Amber than Mark, because Atomic Eve would be like, hey, trust me, I know Mark, I'm one of his closest friends and he really cares about you and he's a good guy, don't give up on Mark. And I'm like, this should be a conversation that Mark is having with Amber, but he's too busy fighting, villains or whatever. And I get it, he has a job to do of literally saving people, but it got to a certain point where I'm like, yo, you want to be with this girl so bad that you're sometimes even jeopardizing these missions to talk to her. But if you would just tell Shawty that you was freaking invincible, we wouldn't be in this situation. Like, Amber had an event. She helps run the local food kitchen because as a kid, that's where her mom would leave her, like as a safe place for her to be at while her mom was at work. And Amber was like, yeah, I know you're really flaky, Mark, but you coming to help me tonight would mean the world to me. We've already had so many rough patches in our relationship, and all I am asking is that you show up here. And I forgot which mission Mark was on specifically, but homeboy got the living daylights beat out of him. Like, he was getting milli-whopped. And Amber's just like, oh my gosh, like, he's such a bad boyfriend, And guess who had to save the day? Atomic freaking Eve. Atomic Eve, her name is Eve, let me just call her Eve. Eve literally had to go tell Amber that he was hit with a bus in order to practically save Mark again. But in my head, I was like, all of this could have and should have been prevented if Mark would just tell Amber the truth, because this isn't a simple fling at this point. Amber and Mark have been dating for a while, and I really feel like after a certain point, Shawty should have known the truth. But no, Mark refused to tell her. And what really let me know that Mark is a bad boyfriend was there was a college episode where Mark's gay best friend wanted to go meet his man in a college town or whatever. And guys, this episode just pissed me off. For some reason, an evil genius is kidnapping all of the fine men of the campus and turning them into robots, and Mark has to save the day or whatever, right? But he's like, my girlfriend's right there, my best friend's right there, I have to do some sneaky ish in order to be invincible but not be invincible. And literally his best friend is about to get milli-popped, and Mark accidentally shows his best friend his powers, and his friend is like, you're invincible, I should have known. And that just pissed me off, because I'm like, damn, your best friend and Atomic Eve know, but your girlfriend doesn't know. And Amber's just so freaking pissed, because while they're getting their faces freaking milli-whopped by like the, zombie brainwashed men, Mark disappears and Invincible shows up, right? And Amber is just like, oh my gosh, like, she's just watching the nonsense, and then Mark mysteriously disappears and then he reappears, and Amber's like, yo, where the hell were you? And Mark was like, oh, I was going to get help. And Amber was like, no, the hell you weren't. You ran away and abandoned me and your best friend, Mark, you suck. And so she's practically giving him the cold shoulder for that entire episode, and the relationship goes downhill fast. And Amber's like, I don't think I can be with you anymore. You're so flaky. And it's like, you don't care about me. I don't want to do this anymore. So they break up. And I was like, thank God, we can finally end this plot. But no, it continued. And it continued with super spoilers for Invincible season 1, but we eventually find out that Mark's dad is actually evil. He's an evil man. Wait a minute, we knew from episode 1, but Mark and the rest of the other characters start to figure this out. And Mark, after the college trip, he's practically in a bummer state, and he's just sad and moody. And he's like, you know what? I'm finally going to tell Amber the truth. He sneaks into her room in the Invincible costume. He's like, Amber, I have a secret I want to tell you. I'm actually invincible. And she's like, duh, I've been you. And he's like, you knew? He was like, you knew? And she's like, yeah, after you kept flaking, I had to put 2 and 2 together. And he was like, yo, why are you upset? And I was like, because you're a liar. That's why she's upset. And I just feel like Amber had every right to be upset, because from the entirety of their relationship, Mark has been lying to her. I understood him practically keeping his identity secret when, they wasn't even serious for real. But after Mark started to jeopardize his missions to practically try to get to Amber earlier, or was texting in the middle of battles to let Amber know he's okay, there should have been, some steps, she should have known. And then I just saw how the fandom reacted to this, and everybody literally had more vitriol and hate towards Amber than the freaking villain Omni-Man, because the whole plot between Mark and Amber was a parallel between Omni-Man and Mark's mom. I low-key don't know that lady's name, I'm so sorry, but I was like, how are you guys mad at Amber for not wanting to be with Mark, for being a chronic liar? When literally Omni-Man did the same exact thing to Mark's mom, and we saw how Shawty almost lost her mind from being lied to for years. I was like, guys, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just that Amber's like, I don't want to be a part of the nonsense. And I feel like a lot of the Amber hate has to do with fandom's hatred of black women, and especially fandom's hatred towards problematic black women or black women who aren't submissive and docile. Because guys, I was reading a lot of y'all's tweets and I was like, yo, you mean to tell me if your partner lied to you for the entirety of your relationship, you would just put a smile on your face and be like, yeah, this is cool? What kind of relationships are y'all in? But yeah, that was practically a very short video where I just wanted to say something in defense of Amber Bennett, because I'm like, why do y'all hate this girl so much? Mark sucks. Mark sucks. Are we watching the same show? I just had to speak my piece on that. So yeah, if you guys like this video, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button. It seriously helps so much. If you guys want to see more videos from me, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.